Good afternoon, it's Tony Hayes from Paranormal Investigation UK. Today's date's the 23rd of February 2021, and we're doing something a little bit different to the other reviews and analysis we completed on the Chester case. This one differs, and the bit of background with this, and there's only just a short piece of audio before we get involved with the main audio. And the reason for this experiment to take place was on the 23rd of January 2021. The owner took into the building a Zoom recorder, a high quality recorder on a tripod stand. Within 30 minutes, literally the room broke out with multiple raps. In a 16-minute period, for example, we got 173 unexplained sounds, and every one of them has been analysed. So anyone who's following this case closely would have seen the sheer number of raps that occurred from an empty building that was monitored, multiple cameras monitoring this particular building, and there was one individual in the building at the rear, which was the owner himself, who monitored and could actually hear the sounds occurring. This empty room had been relatively inactive for a number of weeks, really. We did have occasional CCTV alerts, and one of the reasons why we're involved is trying to find out what's going on with the building, with the multiple sounds that the building is experiencing and triggering the CCTV cameras. In this main empty room, there are two cameras, one in each corner, to monitor 360 degrees. These cameras on the front of the building, at the rear of the building. There's one camera in the main office. There are two in the hallway and leading on top of the stairway. So if anyone gets into this building, they've got to pass at least 3 cameras, which is quite impossible to do, and it just really rule out any sort of interaction from humans possible for that type of thing. I don't believe in coincidence, and my colleague Amanda Griffiths gave the idea that, is it possible that the camera, the audio recorder being placed there on the tripod somehow triggered the phenomena that then followed, and there was some sort of substance in that, because the only time that we'd ever actually duplicated that scene was in the August of 2020, when we investigated the building for the first time. So what we decided to do the following week, because this actual room itself is out for tenure, there's no equipment in the building Monday to Friday. They put in Friday night, and we moved again Sunday afternoon. So we only got like a brief window really to do any experiments, tests, research, that type of thing. So on the 30th, we decided we would attempt to communicate if it was that we're dealing with some form of entity, some sort of consciousness. So the idea working within lockdown was that the owner was in the building at Chester. My colleague Amanda Griffiths was in Stoke-on-Trent, where she lives. They were placing there a mobile phone together with a Bluetooth speaker. I was interested in if we are dealing with a genuine phenomena there, is this building focused, or has it got the ability to become person focused? Quite often when you're dealing with poltergeist activity, you come across the phenomena just bursts out spontaneously from nowhere. It appears to be building focused, and then switches to becoming person focused. So that's the background with this particular experiment we do on this day. It's the experiment in total lasts for no more than 30 minutes. I had a quick review of this because I'm now on volume 19, and most of these volumes are 30 to 40 pages. Shows you just how much reporting we're actually doing and documentation, which is critical to understanding the phenomena for the long term. We always seem to be playing catch up with this building because it just sprung back into action again after going into the quiet period in October of 2020. Getting towards the end of November, it burst into action. We were dealing also with temperature changes as well, although they didn't have the heating on that much in the empty room. We were dealing with loud sounds being emitted from the what we call a main office, and that's the reason why we introduced a couple of 24-hour temperature monitors. These were remotely, and we were able to get it in graph form what the temperature is, and there are quite a high number of the louder raps, or louder spangs I should say, were either during falling or rising temperatures. So that sort of supported that some of them we were dealing with temperature changes, not any other form of sound source. The raps have continued to produce what I call a signature frequency of this 500 to 1000 hertz frequency. It moves slightly to around about 600 to 700 hertz to about 1100, but it's a very, very tight frequency with no resonance whatsoever. So for example, I'm in an empty room and I tap the wall or the floor because there's nothing in there. It's a complete empty room. We've recorded these. I did 160 sound samples when we acoustically tested the room last year. You get the straightforward expected resonance of frequency, maybe going for as low as 200 hertz all the way up to about 2,500 hertz. We cannot get these signature rap sounds in any way, shape or form. It's mild, almost like chalk and cheese. It really is that different. So there are two theories now. One is that if we are dealing with a poltergeist or some form of intelligent form of consciousness spirit, it does certainly somehow cushions the sound. The original theory came around in May last year when a number of balls were seemingly fell off furniture, off desks and off filing cabinets. When the ball hit the floor, the frequency was analysed. I knew immediately that this was performing differently to what we would normally expect a sound frequency from a ball falling from height. When we duplicated the scene using exactly the same camera, exactly the same position of the ball, there is that common resonance of the vibration as the frequency or reverberation of that sound. These balls striking the floor, they appear to be cushioned in a way. The balls were somehow in some sort of softened glove, hit the floor. The bang was equally as loud in volume, which was strange, but all this resonance was missing. And then when we started to hear the raps, they matched perfectly to these signature bangs that occurred when the balls have seemingly just fallen to the floor, and they've been carried on like that way. We'll probably analyse around about between 4 to 500 of these raps showing this particular signature sound. Over recent times, we've discovered that the frequency slightly moved to the right from 500 to 1,000 to about 600 to 1,100. Slightly just moved slightly to the right. Very different though, and still very clearly not performing like we'd expect it to perform. The other angle with this is that, which has been quite strange, it's quite a long review, this, I'm going to apologise for that, was that throughout the recordings being taken on the cameras in particular, always had this 0 to about 30 to 40 hertz. A lot of people would call it infrasound. I blamed a lot of it onto the 7 or 8 CCTV microphones. The basic quality of the CCTV is visual, not necessarily the sound. And we also put in there 3 audio recordings of a cheap nature. These are £30 a piece. Again, this sound was there. We then acoustically tested the expensive Zoom recorder. That was done in the main office, and I analysed that, and I could amplify that to death, and there was no infrasound involved whatsoever. So we then put the recorder into the room on the 30th, which is the footage we're dealing with today. The infrasound was back. It's there. Now I know that recorder excuse me, should not have recorded that sound, that low bass frequency. The following Friday, which would be the night before the 29th, there was a loud thump. I still believe that's got some form of rational explanation to that, mainly because of the frequency sort of suggested that it wasn't a rap as we'd normally been used to. But what was equally important is all that low end frequency was missing. So it looks very much as if when the cameras are obviously capturing this footage, the reason why they are alarming, there seems to be sound within it that has to be somehow associated, because when we've got camera alerts which are certainly not paranormal in nature, this low bass frequency is missing. So what exactly going on? So I do know on the 30th with this particular one, because I had a quick review a couple of days after it was captured. I'm now caught up with all the footage has been presented, but almost practically every day from the building. Do everything in strategic order. So now on the 30th of January, I know that bass frequency is in there because I've already seen it. So it's incredibly confusing. So as far as this date goes concerned, what I'm looking to do is to find out if the raps are becoming structured in intelligently answering questions that are presented to it. Initially, the owner attempts it, but he's not formulating his questions as well as he probably should do. And my first impression of reviewing it quickly was that it was very random. When Amanda Griffiths then gets introduced into it, provides the instructions followed by very clear and precise questions, it appears to become incredibly structured in answer to the old cliche of 1 knot for yes, 2 knots for no. So this is going to be incredibly detailed. There's going to be 5 separate reviews. This is the first one. This is no more. I think it's just very short, just over a minute. In fact, it's not a minute. It's 36 seconds. This is when the owner set up the audio recorder with the chair, and he's ready to go. And stuff just bursts into action. He actually says on this one that he can hear footsteps. That's the reason why we would start with this particular one. So, although it's 36 seconds long, apparently there's quite a lot going on there. He's taken with him his son, who's 20 years of age. Maybe just a bit of support, really, because, at the end of the day, this is, it can be quite a frightening experience to want to do on your own, singly. So he's taking his son there for support. He does make a couple of noises, which I should be able to distinguish them. But I am interested in these footsteps. So what we'll do firstly, on normal volume, we're going to listen to it for the full 36 seconds. I'll go back and then I'll start to turn it up.
Is that you making noises in here at the moment? Is it popping? It sounds like walking in the ceiling.
Yeah, that's where it indicates you can hear footsteps. Okay. What I want to do, I'm just going to highlight that section. In fact, what I can do, I can turn that section down. Just where he's talking. It's going to go loud anyway because I'm going to turn it all up. There we go. There's that bass frequency.
Is that you making noises in here at the moment?
Sound, I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, I think they're whispering there.
What is that? Is it popping? It sounds like walking in the ceiling. Right, okay, let's get this down.
That's Amanda Griffiths talking.
What is that? Is it popping? It sounds like walking in the ceiling. Is it popping? Is it? What is that? Is it? What is that? Is it? What is that? What is that? It's for you. What is that? It's for you.
Okay. I can't hear any footsteps. There's just too much human noise there, in particular whispering. It's equally as possible that the owner himself, he's had a couple of strange experiences in there. He's had his hair standing up on end and that type of thing. And it's sometimes very, very easy to allow the power of suggestion to dominate the experience. I can't actually hear, and I certainly can't see any sort of footsteps, and I would do. I'm not saying that they're there, but I've turned that on maximum and I can't hear anything. And the only problem is I don't know what's time scale that we're talking about here. It happened 5 seconds before. Was it 15 seconds before? Okay, this is this frequency that shouldn't be there. I've amplified it just a tiny bit. Yet that frequency is there. It shouldn't be there. When I've tested this recorder, it was 0. I should be able to turn that up and get nothing, which is exactly how it was performing a week or so before. So it's almost as if that gets introduced. It's somehow it's not there constant. It's what you'd expect. That sound there, that's rap territory. I'm going to get rid of this bass so you can see. Just clean the sound up. The thing is with this, if this is infrasound, it's very difficult to measure infrasound because most of the stuff you see here starts at 20 hertz. It's difficult to measure accurately. If this is in big numbers, relatively high, then expect that if it's around about the 18 hertz range, to start triggering the fight or flight mode within a human. That's part of the frequency that will cause that effect, that human effect. Okay, let me just see if I can pick out. If that is that's what it's hearing, because it doesn't matter if we're hearing the sound from the floor area, like the skirting board area, or the roof area, ceiling area. The raps have always given the same signature sound, which is incredibly unusual. You'd expect a ceiling to sound different than the skirting board. That's within, if you hear the clock, they're very low though. It's that sort of frequency. In fact, let's go for an average. There we go. It's quite a relatively spread of frequency. And there isn't any, I don't think, on 0 on normal volume. Should start to be picked up now. Fundamental frequency if it's imperfect, as I said, it's 600 or 700 hertz to around about 1000, 1100. These little blips of reflections, which is suggestive of not rap territory. If it'd just been this, then yeah. So when he's heard what he describes as footsteps, at the end of the day, the brain is given random data, noises, sound. It'll use its memory bank, the subconscious, to go and find out what those memory banks can tell them about the sound they're hearing. It sounds like footsteps. So if, for example, if it was just one hit strike, that's fine to say that was a bang or a knock. If it's, you might define that as footsteps. There's 3 there. You could quite easily define that as footsteps. Had that have been the week before, on the 23rd, when the building was at its most poignant and active, I would say that was what we call the newly defined sound, the label we have for it called bouncing rap. It's multiple raps very quick. Da-da-da. 3. I had a similar one last year in this building. And it was producing a 4-beat signature, with the third one being what they call in musical terms a ghost note. So you get 1, to missing 3, then 4. A number of these. So when I was able to analyse this is an actually 4 beat sound signature in musical terms, exact, and that sounds like it. I might want to take a little screenshot, and because it is out of our amplify, something I don't like doing. I'm going to call this amped wrap signature frequency. That's certainly given me enough. So this is the start of this. What I can assure you is it's going to get an awful lot more busier as it enter into the 22-minute audio. What I've done with them, I've split that audio into 4, so in principle it's 6 minutes each. Yeah, around about 5 or 6 minutes each, and I've worked through that. So on this one, the owner's gone in there now. He started all the recorders off, and he suddenly heard footsteps. We can say that is a possible wrap. There's a little bit of a concern with the frequency. The fundamental frequency fits, but there's this little side frequencies. But I've not worked an awful lot with this Zoom recorder in there, so that could be due to the microphone dynamics. That's a high quality audio recorder, this one. But again, we're getting this huge amounts of infrasound, which shouldn't be there. In fact, I'm going to take a there we go. That should not be there. Quite low bass. I don't like using the word infrasound, although it contains some infrasound. The bulk of it isn't infrasound. That's 20 hertz there. It's still there, and in principle it shouldn't be there at all. So right, so we're going to call this experiment introduction, I think, and then we'll get into the next set of audio, which will be in 4 parts. Okay, thanks for your perseverance, but so it's been a long one. It's about getting on for 30 minutes long, this. What I wanted to do is to give a background, an explanation why this event this investigation took place, and what we're actually experimenting for. Okay, so it might be a bit boring for you, but I'm quite sure the next 4 will be a little bit more exciting. Okay, see you soon.